McIntyre here. Today we're jumping into the next Do This, Not That. We're going to be on the Artanis this game. Artanis just recently got a few buffs. One in particular is the reactive parry now blocks 75% of physical armor instead of 50. So it's a pretty decent buff for the early game and even late game. Although a lot of the times as Artanis, you're picking him for amateur opponent, which is just does insane amounts of damage to like the boss on BOE or even just bosses in general. You mostly see him for that race ability on BOE or to counter a character that's very melee heavy focused. In this case, I'm going to be lane versus the Samuro. This is not going to be very fun gameplay, I'm going to be honest, but this is going to teach you guys a little bit how to play versus the Samuro. So Samuro players are like incredibly crazy about questing. Okay, they're level 1 quest. They have to crit as their clone. In order to do that, they have to have their clones hit you. So a lot of the time, the way they'll do that is they input an attack on you, then they spawn the clones, and then the clones will target your character. The last thing you want to do is give him stacks. Okay, so as you can see here, this is his game plan. And the last thing I want to do is let that happen. So it's boring because the best play for me is to literally sit here. I just don't need to push. I don't need to do anything. I just need to make sure that this quest does not get completed. So his whole objective is going to be to do that to me. And my whole objective laning against him is to not allow it at all, right? So it's kind of a boring thing, but you really don't want to allow him to quest. You can even see here, this Samuro realizes that I'm not like most players, and he's now wanting to rotate either to do the jungle. He might be trying to get the camp done here, or he might be, he's probably doing the easy camp, honestly. But yeah, this is not the most fun thing. I can show you guys really quick a back switch. So the idea is that you Q backwards and then you E towards him. See if I can pull it off on this Hanzo. No, we're not going to be able to. I really just want to play passively, maybe get in some slashes with my twin blades. The other thing you really want to do too is like when you're hitting somebody, make sure you auto attack and then W, because your W auto resets. So like I'll show you it on this minion. You see that? So you can get in like 3 hits, right? Sometimes it's better to W to like get in range of the target you want to hit, but you can also, if you've already, let's say you're in melee range and you're trading damage with them, you can do what I was just talking about there, get the auto attack, then W. For a triple hit. So I haven't really gone for swap yet. I don't really need to be honest. The last thing you want to do as a soul laner is die. It's unfortunate that we've lost the objective already. There's some contention there. I'm gonna rotate. I think we got it. I think we got the break on it though. Okay, cool. So we're just chilling. Get level 7. I actually think this game is a Q build game. With the Samuro up, like my Q giving CDR per hero hit, I'm probably gonna want to be queuing aggressively, right? For that reason. But you can see here, like these clones this is not what you want to do with Samuro. You do not want to just let him quest like that. So we're gonna go dash damage. Should be able to just get a channel here. Your noob eat away. Pretty good. Alright. This team is full on struggle bus. I'm gonna channel myself. I don't even really want to attempt a swap. I just want to get the channel. We can save the swap for like a peel rather than an aggressive swap. the objective is enough. A lot of the time, I tend to swap. So, because players anticipate the swap, I tend to swap when they're not anticipating it, right? I'd rather just fight them and then have them be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do this, and then go for the swap, you know? Oh, he's got Moon on him. I don't think we can beat him now. Maybe. He's Moon. He did win the objective as well. Oh, so close. So close, so many times. The swap there is an unfortunate timing. As you saw, I swapped on the root. So for some reason, root's a weird mechanic when it comes to the swap. It'll pull you to them, but they won't swap with you, right? So you have to be careful of that. If I had timed that a little bit better, I think that noob dies, because I'd have the body block, right? Again, I usually like using the E to more so body block, unless I'm looking for a pick. I mean, there are opportunities. Typically, those kind of aggressive swaps come from fog, too, so, like, the other person can't see you. It's the exact same logic with the stitches. If you just... if you hold your hook, the other team will be, like, playing around the fact that you have hook, right? Rather than playing, like, you know, once you hook as stitches, they know it's down and they start going, like, super aggressive. I kind of look at Artanis the same way. Wait until, like, they're most vulnerable, like here. Oh, that's a good stop by him. We ended up getting the kill anyways for it, though, so good times. But, like, let them do something that makes them vulnerable. Like, there we saw the Orphea try to hit her Q and missed, so she became vulnerable to my swap, right? Kind of like being patient about it, taking your time. The second it's down, the other person or the other team's gonna play like it's down, right? For now, we still want to try to make sure we don't give the clones any stacks. I don't know how close he is to the quest. He's getting there. I mean, the weaker you make the Samurai 2, the weaker the clones are when they spawn out. So that's the real one right here, for sure. This is the real one. Yeah. He's gone. He'll just swap out to his clones. No reason to chase that. I'm not really sure why 5 top, but... Oh, he might have messed up, actually. I think he did. I think he did. We need to get to this. There's no way he lives. There you go. Good times. Samuro, by the way. I mean, maybe their team did bot boss that whole time. I know they got out mid-camp. We can help Jaina clear this. Wave. So with the Q build, the time that we're going to be taking at 13 is the cooldown on Q. So it reduces the mana of Q, and each time I passive, I can Q again. This is going to be really good with the 16 talent. That every time I shield pops, I get CDR on my abilities. So essentially, I'm just going to be using my Q a lot during these team fights with this build. Again, see, you can see I'm not really looking for swaps at all here. Just playing patient with the swap. I can use it even as an escape in some cases. Might be able to get a block here on JL. Nicely done. I still have yet to do a back swap. So I'll show you guys what a back swap looks like so you can get an idea of it. I probably won't do it. I usually do it in the early game, but essentially you Q backwards and then E towards them. It's like the opposite of doing a max range swap, but it still travels them the same distance. So yeah, so now we have reduced cooldown on, or reduced man. I think the reduced man is like pretty crucial to this too, because you get so spamming your Q. But yeah, every time I shield procs, I'll get a reduced cooldown on it. And since they have a Samro, right, the idea is that he's going to have his clones up. So I'm going to be able to, what's it called off of that? Get that cooldown, get that shields up, hit more targets. Nice. Oh, man. We can push him ball. We have one of the Juggernaut guys down here. So a do on this map, I think, is you really want to push as a group. The objective is pretty weak, pushing by itself, because it amps your damage, right? I'm not even gonna what's it called there? I'm not even gonna go for the swap. You really want to push as a group because the objective buffs your team's damage. So like here we just got this for free even. So we can just rotate mid. Oh, it's a pretty good swap. I think we should rotate mid. Oh, we're just killing everybody. Okay. Yeah, it's sitting there. You can't really core on this map without. You have to either have a 5-man ace with like a boss, or you have to have multiple keeps. So you can see here, whenever I use an ability, I reduce the cooldown on my shield overload, and whenever my shield overload goes off, I reduce the cooldown on my Q. So that's the idea of the Q build. Here is you're essentially spamming your buttons. I don't actually think that we can do anything here. We should just do top boss probably. By the time we start the boss and start hitting it and they rotate to it, I think we probably have it done. You gotta be a little careful here. Technically, this is a way for their team to come back, but we see Hanzo bottom lane, right? I probably should be tanking it. We can look to push here. So I can start fishing for swaps kind of soon. You need to be careful when you swap. So like a do not of this, and the reason why a lot of the time I'm not aggressively swapping is you need to be careful, because if you swap, the other team can kind of full target you. Artanis has a very difficult time escaping if he's in, right? So a lot of the time you want to just space and punch what's in front of you. Similar to like a Sonya, I would say. And then when the time's right, that's when you can go, you know, you can really go all in. Like, if I Q here and they stun that even, like, that's super sketchy. Like that. See, now I'm sort of stuck in their team. Luckily, we're 4 levels. There's a big boy swap. Luckily, we're 4 levels ahead. So getting stuck into their team is okay. But you do really want to be careful when you swap. The swap there on the Toronto was well timed. You know, my risk of getting killed after the swap happened. And at that point, it's okay to make that swap, right? But if, for whatever reason, you know, their whole team is standing there and you go for an aggressive swap like that, you can get instantly punished. the other team just full converges on you. So it's very hard. It's a very difficult thing to get your mind set around. But once you're able to kind of figure that out in the spacing of Artanis, he can be very, very powerful because he's very good at dueling. I know that this game, it felt like a stomp. It was 19-1. I think that there are things to take from this game. And so you're probably watching it now for that reason. We can go over some do's and don'ts as we have some time. The first do of Artanis is to make sure that you're kind of postured. You're hitting what you can. You're not really just using your cooldowns on cooldown until you need to, right? In most cases, you're postured. You're waiting for them to make it an action, and then you're reacting, right? We saw it bottom lane with the Orpheus. She threw a Q. It missed. I went for the swap. We ended up getting the swap on the Unuberag and got a pick, right? I'm waiting for them to do something, and then I'm trying to land the swap. Similar to Stitches. When we get to Stitches, we'll talk about that as well. By just applying ourselves and the pressure of our existence, of being there, of the idea, the thought that the swap can happen, is enough for the other team to react in a negative way, right? By using the swap, we have now given the other team the incentive. We've advised them and said, okay, now you can go all in, you can fight us, and we don't have that there anymore, okay? So that's the first do of Artanis. The second one of this game in general is Samuro. Do not give him stacks, even if it means standing still, right? Do not give him stacks. And in the soul lane in general, you just can chill. You don't have to do anything. You just soak. Make sure you do not die, right? Fighting is bad because fighting typically leads to dying. The only time you really want to be fighting in the soul lane is if you know the other team is as for somewhere else, or if you're getting a gank, right? If somebody is ganking your lane, a Genji or something, then you can try to fight. As Artanis, you could try to swap aggressively, right? You could try to make some damage on the other person that then leads to a kill. But otherwise, you really just want to be soaking. That's a do. A do not. We just talked about it a little bit. Do not swap aggressively to engage as Artanis. Because you're just going to get blown up. You have no mobility. There's no way for you to get out, right? You want to kind of play the outside of the fight, play the edge of them, and then wait for them to make the mistake and then go in. The other do not. I didn't talk much about Suppression Pulse, as it is very powerful against their team. A lot of auto attackers. Tyrant, for example, cuts her off. Samuro cuts him off. He doesn't get his passive proc. Suppression Pulse. Do not wait on Suppression Pulse. When the fight happens, pulse. Okay? If you're going to die, pulse. If someone on your team's going to die, pulse. Do not wait. It's similar to a false head gust in the fact that I'd rather you use it than not. It's on a low cooldown, 50 seconds. It's one of the lowest cooldown ults in the game, probably. So do not wait on that. And then the last thing, the hardest part about Artanis, and something that I didn't talk too much about, but is very, very important. So if you've watched to this point in the video, you will now have the very special secret sauce of the hero. Your passive, the way that it procs, you want to juggle your abilities so that your passive procs effectively, okay? What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're at 4 seconds left on your shield, one auto attack is 4, right? You do not want to use your W to pop your 4. You want to just auto them so that your shield then procs, and then when it goes back on CD, then you hit your W, right? The same goes for your Q. Let's say you're at 0.2 on your passive, right? Use your Q to proc your passive, right? That way, when you land, you can auto-attack them, and then you can W. At that point, if you'd hit 2 people, you might be 4 off of now a new shield, right? Which is only 1 more auto-attack. The last thing is you know, really make sure you're effective about that juggling. And then the last thing is your E. Your E at medium, at low range, at melee range, at all ranges is a CC, okay? Regardless of if they're in front of you, if they're behind, you know, if they're max range, if they're whatever the case. What does that mean? That means if, let's say you need half a second to get your auto off, or let's say even you're at 8 seconds, you don't have your W, you can auto them, you're about to die, right? But your E's up. If you auto them and then you E, your character immediately autos after the swap. In most cases, especially if it's a melee range. So you can use your E a lot of the time to get you that last auto that pocs your passive, right? Almost look at it like an auto reset when you're dueling. So I don't see people do that enough. I guess one more do while we're here, while we're talking about all the cool things about Artanis, because you got to see some of it here, and again, you can go back and now look at this. Sometimes you can swap heroes that are behind other heroes and then body block those heroes that you've swapped past, right? In this game, I swapped to, I think, Orphea or something, and instead of chasing the Orphea, I got in front of the Tyrant, right? And we were able to kill the Tyrant. And then we even got the Orphea kill anyways. So using the swap to not only get body blocks on people, but you can get to other people with a swap, right? Let's say there's a 1 health Hanzo in the back. You can swap to the Tyrant near the Hanzo and then dash with your W towards the Hanzo and kill him, right? So there's just so much going on with this character. He's very, 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 very mechanically rewarding if you play him correctly. And I would suggest just going into try mode and practicing your swaps. It's the hardest thing about the character. But even here you saw, you don't need to swap that often. But when you do have the opportunity, it is crucial that you land it, right? Crucial that the swap lands. I remember when I used to play Artanis with our team, they always made fun of me, and I got flamed a lot because I never hit the swaps. So it's important to hit the swaps. If you don't hit the swaps, a lot of his effectiveness is gone, right? He's a Stitches that can duel. Let's put it that way. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to throw a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out to me on Twitch and Twitter. Those are in my description, as well as at heroeshurt.com. I'll have the build for this guy as well there. But in the comment section below, if you have anything else that you want to know about Artanis, just let me know in the comment section below, and I will answer any questions. I'm gonna really quick. I know here I am. This is the Easter egg. So these are for the people who stayed past the end credit. I'm just gonna show you this, and then we're gonna end the video. So really quick, I'm gonna show you some swaps. That way you can practice them. I would go into try mode if you're really into this character. Go into try mode and practice these. The first one is the backward swap. Okay, you're in melee range. All right, you can do a backward swap. You can also do a swap. Let's say you want to get to this guy. You want to swap this guy, right? You can W to his teammate and then go for the swap on the guy behind him. So you can sometimes you can do it when you gank lanes, or if you really want to, you need to close the gap, right? You can W to a minion and then go for the swap, right? If you want to just do a melee, if you want to punch them, if you just want to, you don't want to throw them into your team, instead you want to get on top of the target. If you swap when you're max range, you'll not only be body blocking them, right? But now you're behind them, right? And when you do that combo, you want to get that auto reset, right? Auto W right out of that, right? Swap, auto W, swap, auto W, right? That's your efficiency. Okay, most of the time you do not need to. Sometimes you don't need to swap, right? Let's say I'm punching somebody, I can just swap them. I don't have to Q, right? Or you can use your Q to dash away, right? There's just so many things you can do on this character. I would really just go into try mode, do exactly what I'm doing, get used to the swap ranges, get used to timings, when can you swap, what's the max range, how far, get what I'm saying? So this is the best way to practice this character. The more you play him, the more you understand that. Just do not dive the enemy team, because you cannot get saved. You cannot get out as Artanis. But that's going to be it. You can get out. A good way to swag on people. Very good way. You get ganked, okay? Everyone's trying to kill you. The person that's closest to your base, okay? Closest to where your base is. You Q away from that, and then you try to swap them, okay? So you go this way, and you swap them. Hopefully, that person that you swapped is like their CC or something. Let's say that's the Artanis or something. You threw him as far away as possible from your base, and now maybe you can get away. That's your escape. That's it. But that's it for this video. Again, thank you guys all so much. Let me know in the comments if you have any further questions. Cheers. Appreciate it. See y'all later.